Well, today I'm going to continue on my series, The Path to Freedom. And today's talk will be how to release the past. And what I understand is that our past can be our greatest teacher, or it can become our greatest prison. How many of you can remember a person from the past, and it may be a really good memory, and you keep bringing it forward into the present, and you start comparing people in your life with the memory you have of that person. And because you keep comparing, you may be doing a bad job on the person you're with, the people in your life right now, because you've embellished on this memory of someone from your past. Or it could become a relationship from your past that was absolutely horrific. And because of that, you're bringing that type of relationship into this now, and you will not open up to a new possibility because you're bringing that old in. So it's like a prison. So the past can be our greatest teacher if we want it to be, or it can become our greatest prison. It can lock us into unrealistic expectations, unrealistic habits. It all depends on how we look at it. You see, in order to release the past, to become free from the past, we must make peace with it. That, my friends, is the key to dealing with the past, to make peace with it. So what I want to do today is to talk about some practical ideas that we can use to make this happen. You see, the first action we can take is to review a past event and see what can we learn from it. Once we see what we can learn from it, we can now let it go because it no longer has a purpose in our life. We can look at an event where we may have spoken harshly about someone and they reacted in a certain way, and we can say, oh, I wasn't sensitive to where they were. I could have rephrased that. Okay, I get that. Maybe I didn't need to be so blunt. I use that because that's always a lesson I'm learning, because I'm always blunt. I'm always sharing myself as I am. Here's what I'm learning. Most people are not ready to hear Lee the way Lee is. Hopefully you are, because you're watching this, so maybe we're the right vibration. What does Abraham say? Abraham says there's never a crowd on the leading edge. I don't know that this is the leading edge, but it's certainly an edge. And I know that at times my free thinking outside of tradition, about traditional religion, does not bode well for other people accepting me and understanding me. And so the lesson for me is, don't speak it unless it's necessary. And I keep getting that lesson over and over again. But I don't live in the past over it. I learn. What are the signs that I might have seen as to how I speak, to who I speak, and when I speak? You see, I do that, and I get that lesson. I get the opportunity for this every day pretty much. And I have to weigh it, and then I have to let it go. Sometimes I can let it go real fast. Sometimes it may take me an hour or two. Sometimes, depending on the situation, it may take me a couple days to let it go. But a couple days is a lot better than a month, a year. How many of you are carrying a past event from 30, 40, 50 years ago? A lot of people do. They can't let it go because they're not looking at it. They're not seeing what they can learn from it and releasing it. They may not even think they can learn from it. They're just saying, damn it, that experience? Well, that's not learning from it. Every experience we have, there's something to learn from. The second action we can take is to rewrite our past by understanding our emotional attachment to a past event, and then to neutralize how we look at that event in order to eliminate the emotional charge. You see, it's interesting. My brother and I were raised by the same mom and dad. We were a year and a half apart. And when we got older, our childhood experiences were exactly the opposite. All I could remember was having a really good childhood, where my brother remembered his childhood as horrific. Here's what I remember. I remember that he was the spoiled one. He was my dad's ichiban. You know what ichiban means? It's Japanese. He was my dad's favorite. And because he was the youngest, he got most of the attention. Guess what? He was also straight A student. I wasn't. I could care less about straight A's. Here was the big difference between my brother and I. He was a people pleaser. I wasn't. And so when you look at the event, I looked at the event and I saw, oh, my parents taught me by not giving me attention the way they gave my brother to be free. I had to find my own inner satisfaction. I can remember so clearly that at the time how it bothered me, it was 8th grade. I was playing football for Sacred Heart School, and I was an end. And I remember being put into the game, and it was the second from the last game of the year, and I was sent out on a route, and I caught the pass and scored a touchdown. I came home higher than anything. Told my mom, and she says, oh, my dad didn't come home till the next day. He says, oh, who cares? I rewrote it, the past, and said, oh my God, it was one of the best days of my young life. I scored a touchdown. All my teammates saw it. The coach saw it. Most importantly, I knew what I had done. I rewrote how I looked at that situation in my life. It doesn't matter what the situation is. We can rewrite it so that we can emotionally neutralize the situation. To rewrite it, you've got to be able to see as much good as perceived bad. When you do that, the emotion comes out of it. The third action that we can take is to find gratitude for whatever the experience is. There is always something to be grateful for. I don't care what the situation is. I was in a horrific car accident. Oh, God bless, I'm grateful. I didn't die. My gosh, I'm grateful I didn't kill someone. My God, thank God I had insurance. Always ways to be grateful. I don't care what the situation is. There are ways that you will find to be grateful. Here's what I know. We're on this planet for a finite number of years in this body, with this persona, with this ego, and our only purpose is to fully experience life. And to experience more life, be grateful for what you experience, because then when you're grateful, you're not going to drag all the garbage with you forward, which is going to taint your next experience and your next experience and your next experience. Gratitude gives you freedom. Why wouldn't you want to feel free? That's what I ask myself all the time. Someone does something that ticks me off, I find something to be grateful for so I don't have to worry about it. Because once you find gratitude, the event no longer has its charge, does it? Gratitude is a key. The fourth action we can take is to understand that this event is not who we are. It's something we've experienced. Too many times we allow events that happen into our life to determine who we are rather than experience. Here's a big one. I was talking with someone this week about the fact of losing your job. I remember when I lost my job in 2004, I was a vice president of marketing in the corporate world, and I lost my job, and I was just starting ministerial school. I couldn't get over that I lost my job. Why? Because my ego identified who was Lee Wolak. Lee Wolak was a vice president. He was an executive in the insurance industry. That's not who I was. That's what I did. But I was brainwashed. I was domesticated into believing that what I did defined me. And then I got let go from my job, and I said, well, that defines me. I got let go. Turned out it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me, because I was able to go full-time to ministerial school to get my master's in consciousness studies, to become an assistant minister at the center in Dallas, and then in March of '09 to start this thing we call Agape Spiritual Center. And this is the greatest joy that I've ever had. So again, you can go back and you can see all the prior actions about rewriting the story, about becoming unattached to it, about seeing the gratitude in the situation. Oh my God, yeah, this was the best thing that ever happened. So the event of being like, oh, didn't define me. It's just an experience that taught me to really understand who I was not an experience, was not what I did. You see, it's not what we do. It's not the doingness about life that is meaningful. It is the beingness. Who am I being? That is where the greatest gift of life comes from. You know, a fifth action we can take is simply this, to remember that the past no longer exists. It's just a memory. It's just something we've stored in our mind. It's not there. In this now, I don't give a hoot what happened to you. You can say, this is horrific. This is the most horrific thing that ever happened. This is the most horrific thing. In this moment, that thing is not happening. It's not there. It's not real. Only this moment is real. Everything else is an illusion. But we won't let go of the illusion. We have been domesticated. We got to bring it forward. We got to keep it with us. Let it friggin' go. It's a memory. It doesn't really exist. Learn from it. Be grateful for it. Rewrite it. Release the emotional attachment. Let it go. Now, it's not as easy as what I'm saying, but that's the spiritual work. And what we talk about at Agape is practical spirituality, because you've got to be able to find the tools that allow you to release it. And finally, we can learn to accept the past, for without it, we would not be who we are. I look at my life and everything that's happened to me, and I realize that without one itty-bitty little thing, I wouldn't be the person I am today. And the person that I am today, in this now, is whole and perfect. The person you are, this very moment, is whole and perfect. Realize that everything in your life up to this moment allowed you to become this person. Accept it, bless it, and then you can live from that acceptance. You can live from that blessing, and you can move into a greater and greater sense of awareness, which will change your life. Because the greater your awareness, the greater your life experience will be. And you're here for one reason, my friends, to experience all that this life has to offer. The power is in you. What are you going to do about it?